Chapter 49. Man after death is such as his life had been in the world. Every Christian knows from the Word that one's own life remains after death. For it is there said in many passages that man will be judged and rewarded according to his deeds and works. And no one who really thinks from good and from its truth can help seeing that he who lives well comes into heaven, and he who lives wickedly into hell. But the evil man is unwilling to believe that his state after death is according to his life in the world. He thinks, especially when he is sick, that heaven is granted to everyone out of pure mercy, whatever his life had been, and that this is done in accordance with his faith, which he separates from life. That man will be judged and rewarded according to his deeds and works is declared in many passages in the Word, some of which I would here quote. The Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will render unto everyone according to his works. Blessed are the dead that die in the Lord. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labours, for their works follow them. I will give to everyone according to his works. I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God. And the books were opened, and the dead were judged out of the things that were written in the books according to their works. The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and hell gave up those that were in them, and they were judged everyone according to their works. Behold, I come, and my reward is with me, to give to everyone according to his works. Every one that heareth my words and doeth them, I will liken to a prudent man. But every one that heareth my words and doeth them not is likened to a foolish man. Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of the heavens, but he that doeth the will of my Father who is in the heavens. Many will say unto me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and through thy name cast out demons, and in thy name done many mighty works? But then I will confess to them, I know you not. Depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. Then shall ye begin to say, We have eaten and drunk before thee. Thou hast taught in our streets. But he will say, I tell you, I know you not, ye workers of iniquity. I will recompense them according to their work and according to the doing of their hands. Jehovah, whose eyes are open upon all the ways of men, to give to everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his works. I will visit upon his ways and recompense to him his works. Jehovah doeth with us according to our ways and according to our works. In foretelling the last judgment, the Lord recounts nothing but works, teaching that those who have done good works will enter into eternal life, and those who have done evil works will enter into damnation, as in Matthew, and in many other passages that treat of the salvation and condemnation of man. It is clear that works and deeds constitute the external life of man, and that the quality of his internal life is made evident by means of them. But by deeds and works are not meant deeds and works as they appear in external form, but the way they appear in internal form. For everyone knows that every deed and work goes forth from the man's will and thought. Otherwise it would be nothing but a movement like that of an automaton or image. Consequently, a deed or work viewed in itself is merely an effect that derives its soul and life from will and thought, even to the extent that it is will and thought in effect, and thus is will and thought in external form. From this it follows that a deed or work is in quality such as are the will and thought that produce it. If the thought and will are good, then the deeds and works are good. But if the thought and will are evil, then the deeds and works are evil, although in external form they appear alike. 1,000 men may act alike, that is, may do like deeds, so alike in external form as to be almost indistinguishable. And yet each one regarded in itself is different, because from an unlike will. For example, when one acts honestly and justly with a companion, one person may do it for the purpose of appearing to be honest and just out of regard for himself and his own honour, another on account of the world and gain, a third with a view to reward and merit, a fourth out of regard for friendship, a fifth from fear of the law and the loss of reputation or employment, a sixth that he may draw someone to his own side, even when he is in the wrong, a seventh that he may deceive, and others from other motives. In all these instances, although the deeds are good in appearance, since it is a good thing to act honestly and justly with a companion, they are nevertheless evil, because they are done not out of regard for honesty and justice, and for the love of these, but out of regard for love of self and the world which the man loves. And honesty and justice are made to serve that love as servants who serve a Lord, and whom the Lord despises and dismisses when they fail to serve him. In external form, those act in a like way who act honestly and justly with a companion because they love what is honest and just. Some of these act from the truth of faith or from obedience, because so it is commanded in the Word. Some from the good of faith or from conscience, because from a religious motive. Some from good of charity towards the neighbour, because his good should be regarded. Some from the good of love to the Lord, because good should be done for the sake of good, as also what is honest and just should be done for the sake of honesty and justice. And these things they love because they are from the Lord, and because the divine that goes forth from the Lord is in them, and consequently regarded in their very essence, they are divine. The deeds or works of such are interiorly good, and therefore are exteriorly good also. For, as has been said above, deeds or works are precisely such in quality as the thought and will from which they proceed. And apart from thought and will, they are not deeds and works, but only inanimate movements. All these things confirm what is meant in the word by works and deeds. Because works and deeds are from the will and thought, so are they from the love and faith. Consequently, they are such as the love and faith are. For it is the same thing whether you say a man's love or his will, and it is the same thing whether you say a man's faith or his established thought. For that which a man loves, he wills, and that which a man believes, he thinks. If a man loves what he believes, he also wills it, and as far as possible does it. Everyone can know that love and faith are within man's willing and thinking, and not outside them. For it is the will that is kindled with love, and the thought that is enlightened in matters of faith. Therefore, only those who are able to think wisely are enlightened, and in the measure of their enlightenment they think what is true and will it. Or what is the same, they believe what is true and love it. But it ought to be known that it is the will that makes the man, while thought makes the man only so far as it goes forth from the will, and deeds and works go forth from both. Or what is the same, it is love that makes the man, and faith only so far as it goes forth from love, and deeds or works go forth from both. Consequently, the will or love is the man himself. For whatever things go forth belong to that from which they go forth. To go forth is to be brought forth and presented in suitable form in order to be perceived and seen. From these things it can be confirmed what faith is when separated from love, namely, that it is no faith, but mere knowledge, which has no spiritual life in it. Likewise, what a deed or work is apart from love, namely, that it is not a deed or work of life, but a deed or work of death, which possesses an appearance of life from an evil love and a false faith. This appearance of life is what is called spiritual death. Again, it ought to be known that in deeds or works the whole man is exhibited, and that his will and thought, or his love and faith, which are the interiors of a man, are not complete until they exist in deeds or works, which are the exteriors of a man. For these are the ultimates in which the will and thought terminate. And without such terminations, they are as if interminate, and have as yet no existence, that is, are not yet in the man. To think and to will without doing, when there is opportunity, are like a flame enclosed in a vessel which goes out. Also like seed cast upon the sand which fails to grow, and so perishes with its power of germination. But to think and will, and from that to do, is like a flame that gives heat and light all around, or like a seed in the ground that grows up into a tree or flower and has existence. Everyone can know that willing and not doing, when there is opportunity, is not willing. Also that loving and not doing good, when there is opportunity, is not loving, but mere thought which one wills and loves. And this is thought separate, which vanishes and is dissipated. The love and will is the very soul of a deed or work. It forms its body in the honest and just things that the man does. This is the sole source of man's spiritual body, or the body of his spirit. That is, it is formed solely out of the things that the man does from his love or will. In a word, all things of man and his spirit are in his deeds or works. From these things it can now be established what is meant by the life that awaits man after death, namely, that it is his love and his faith therefrom, not only in potency but also in act. Thus that it is his deeds or works, because these in themselves contain all things of man's love and faith. It is man's ruling love that awaits him after death, and this is in no way changed to eternity. Everyone has many loves, but they are all related to his ruling love and make one with it, or together compose it. All things of the will that are in harmony with the ruling love are called loves because they are loved. These loves are both interior and exterior, some immediately connected and some mediately, some nearer and some more remote. They are subservient in various ways. Taken together, they constitute a kingdom, as it were, such being the order in which they are arranged with man, although man knows nothing whatever about that arrangement. And yet something of it is made manifest to him in the other life, for the extension of his thought and affection there is in accordance with the arrangement of his loves, his thought and affection extending into heavenly societies when the ruling love is made up of the loves of heaven, but into infernal societies when it is made up of the loves of hell. That all the thought and affection of spirits and of angels have extension into societies may be seen above in the sections on the wisdom of the angels of heaven, and on the form of heaven which determines consociations and communications there. But these things that have been said thus far affect only the thought of the rational man. That they may also be presented to the perception before the senses, I would add some experiences by which they may be illustrated and confirmed. First, man after death is his own love, or his own will. Second, man continues to eternity, such as his will or ruling love is. Third, the man whose love is heavenly and spiritual comes into heaven, while the man whose love is corporeal and worldly, without heavenly and spiritual love, goes to hell. Fourth, unless faith is from heavenly love, it does not endure in man. Fifth, love in act, that is, the life of man, is what endures. Man after death is his own love or his own will. This has been proved to me by manifold experience. The entire heaven is distinguished into societies in accordance with differences of good of love. And every spirit who is taken up into heaven and becomes an angel is taken to the society where his love is. And when he comes there, he is, as it were, at home, and in the house where he was born. This the angel perceives, and is associated with those there who are like himself. When he goes away to another place, he feels constantly a kind of resistance and a longing to return to his like, thus to his ruling love. Thus are associations brought about in heaven. It is the same in hell, where all are associated in accordance with loves that are the opposite of heavenly loves. It has been shown above that both heaven and hell are composed of societies, and that they are all distinguished in accordance with differences of love. That man after death is his own love might also be confirmed from the fact that whatever things do not make one with his ruling love are then separated and, as it were, taken away from him. From one who is good, all discordant or inharmonious things are separated and, as it were, taken away, and he is thus let into his own love. It is the same with an evil spirit, with the difference that from the evil, truths are taken away, and from the good, falsities are taken away. And this goes on until each becomes his own love. This is effected when the man-spirit is brought into the third state, which will be described in following sections. When this has been done, he turns his face constantly to his own love. And this he has continually before his eyes, in whatever direction he turns. All spirits, provided they are kept in their ruling love, can be led wherever one pleases and are incapable of resistance, however they may know that this is being done, and however much they may think that they will resist. They have often been permitted to try whether they can do anything contrary to that love, but in vain. Their love is like a bond or a rope tied around them, by which they may be led, and from which they cannot loose themselves. It is the same with men in the world, who are also led by their love, or are led by others by means of their love. But this is more the case when they have become spirits, because they are not then permitted to make a display of any other love, or to counterfeit what is not their own. That the spirit of man is his ruling love is clearly exhibited in all fellowship in the other life. For so far as anyone is acting or speaking in accordance with the love of another, to the same extent is the other plainly present, with full, joyous and lively countenance. But when one is speaking or acting contrary to another's love, to that extent the other's countenance begins to be changed, to be obscured and undiscernible, until at length he wholly disappears, as if he had not been there. I have often wondered how this could be, for nothing of the kind can occur in the world, but I have been told that it is the same with the spirit in man, which, when it turns itself away from another, ceases to be within his view. That a spirit is his own ruling love is also clear from the fact that every spirit seizes and appropriates all things that are in harmony with his love, and rejects and repudiates all that are not. Everyone's love is like a spongy or porous wood, which imbibes such fluids as promotes its growth and repels others. It is also like animals of every kind, which know their proper food and seek the things that agree with their nature and avoid those that disagree. For every love wishes to be nourished on what belongs to it, an evil love by falsities and a good love by truths. I have sometimes been permitted to see certain simple good spirits desiring to instruct the evil in truths and goods. But when the instruction was offered them, they fled far away, and when they came to their own, they seized with great pleasure upon the falsities that were in agreement with their love. I have also seen good spirits talking together about truths, and the good who were present listened eagerly to the conversation, but the evil who were present paid no attention to it, as if they did not hear it. In the world of spirits, ways are seen, some leading to heaven, some to hell, and each to some particular society. Good spirits go only in the ways that lead to heaven, and to the societies there that are in the good of their love, and do not see the ways that lead elsewhere. while evil spirits go only in the ways that lead to hell, and to the society there that is in the evil of their love. They do not see the ways that lead elsewhere, or if they see them, they have no wish to enter them. In the spiritual world, these ways are real appearances, which correspond to truths or falsities. And this is why ways have this signification in the word. By these evidences from experience, the things previously said from reason have been confirmed, namely, that every man after death is his own love and his own will. It is said one's own will because everyone's will is his love. Man after death continues to eternity such as his will or ruling love is. This too has been confirmed by abundant experience. I have been permitted to talk with some who lived 2,000 years ago and whose lives are described in history and thus known. They were found to be still the same persons and exactly as described, that is, in respect of the love out of which and in accordance with which their lives were formed. There were others known to history who had lived 17 centuries ago, others who had lived 4 centuries ago, and 3, and so on, with whom I was also permitted to talk. And I found that the same affection still ruled with them, with no other difference than that the delights of their love had been turned into such things as correspond. The angels declare that the life of the ruling love is never changed in anyone, even to eternity, since everyone is his own love. Consequently, to change that love with a spirit is to take away or extinguish his life. They also gave the reason that man after death is no longer capable of being reformed by instruction as in the world, because the ultimate plane, which consists of cognitions and affections, is then quiescent, and not being spiritual, cannot be opened. And upon that plane the interiors pertaining to the mind and animus rest, as a house rests on its foundation. And on this account, such as the life of one's love had been in the world, such he continues to be to eternity. The angels are greatly surprised that man does not know that everyone is such as his ruling love is, and that many believe that they may be saved by immediate mercy or by faith alone, whatever their life may be. Also, that they do not know that divine mercy is mediated, and that it consists in man's being led by the Lord, both in the world and afterwards to eternity, and that those who do not live in evils are led by mercy. Nor do they know that faith is the affection of truth going forth from heavenly love, which is from the Lord. The man whose love is heavenly and spiritual comes into heaven, while the man whose love is corporeal and worldly, with no heavenly and spiritual love, goes to hell. This has been confirmed for me from all whom I have seen taken up into heaven or cast into hell. The life of those taken up into heaven had been derived from a heavenly and spiritual love, while the life of those cast into hell had been derived from a corporeal and worldly love. Heavenly love consists in loving what is good, honest and just, because it is good, honest and just, and in doing this from that love. And those who have this love have a life of goodness, honesty and justice, which is the heavenly life. Those who love these things for their own sake and who do them or live them, love the Lord above all things, because they are from him. They also love the neighbour, because these things are the neighbour who is to be loved. But corporeal love is loving what is good, honest and just, not for its own sake, but for the sake of self, because reputation, honour and gain can thus be acquired. Such, in what is good, honest and just, do not look to the Lord and to the neighbour, but to self and the world, and feel delight in fraud. And the goodness, honesty and justice derived from fraud are evil, dishonesty and injustice. And these are what are loved by such in their practice of good, honesty and justice. As the life of everyone is determined by these different kinds of love, as soon as men after death enter the world of spirits, they are examined to discover their quality, and are joined to those who are in a like love. Those in heavenly love to those who are in heaven, and those in corporeal love to those who are in hell. Also, after they have passed through the first and second state, they are so separated as to see or know each other no longer. For each one becomes his own love, both in respect of his interiors pertaining to his mind, and in respect of his exteriors pertaining to his face, body, and speech. For each becomes an image of his own love, even in externals. Those who are corporeal loves appear gross, dusky, black, and misshapen, while those who are heavenly loves appear fresh, bright, fair, and beautiful. Also in their minds and thoughts they are wholly unlike. Those who are heavenly loves become intelligent and wise, while those who are corporeal loves are stupid and, as it were, foolish. When it is granted to behold the interiors and exteriors of thought and affection of those who are in heavenly love, their interiors appear like light, and some like a flamy light, while their exteriors appear in various beautiful colours like rainbows. But the interiors of those who are in corporeal love appear as if black, because they are closed up. And the interiors of some who were interiorly in malignant deceit appear like a dusky fire. But their exteriors appear of a dirty colour and disagreeable to the sight. The interiors and exteriors of the mind and animus are made visible in the spiritual world whenever the Lord pleases. Those who are in corporeal love see nothing in the light of heaven. To them the light of heaven is thick darkness, but the light of hell, which is like light from burning coals, is to them as clear light. Moreover, in the light of heaven their interior sight is so darkened that they become insane. Consequently, they shun that light and hide themselves in dens and caverns, more or less at a depth in accordance with the falsities with them derived from their evils. On the other hand, those who are in heavenly love, the more interiorly and deeply they come into the light of heaven, see all things more clearly, and all things appear more beautiful to them, and they perceive truths more intelligently and wisely. It is impossible for those who are in corporeal love to live at all in the heat of heaven, for the heat of heaven is heavenly love. But they can live in the heat of hell, which is the love of raging against others who do not favour them. The delights of that love are contempt of others, enmity, hatred, and revenge. And when they are in these delights, they are in their life, and have no idea what it is to do good to others from good itself, and for the sake of good itself, knowing only what it is to do good from evil, and for the sake of evil. Those who are in corporeal love are unable to breathe in heaven. When any evil spirit is brought into heaven, he draws his breath like one struggling in combat, while those who are in heavenly love have a freer respiration and a fuller life, the more interiorly they are in heaven. From these things it can be confirmed that heaven with man is heavenly and spiritual love, because on that love all things of heaven are inscribed. Also that corporeal love and worldly love, apart from heavenly and spiritual love, are hell with man, because on such loves all things of hell are inscribed. From these things it is clear that he whose love is heavenly and spiritual comes into heaven, and he whose love is corporeal and worldly, apart from heavenly and spiritual love, comes into hell. Unless faith is from heavenly love, it does not endure in man. This has been made clear to me by so much experience that if everything I have seen and heard respecting it were collected, it would fill a volume. This I can testify, that those who are in corporeal and worldly love, apart from heavenly and spiritual love, have no faith whatever, and are incapable of having any. They have nothing but knowledge, or a persuasion that a thing is true, because it serves their love. Some of those who claimed that they had faith were brought to those who had faith, and when they communicated with them, they perceived that they had no faith at all. And afterwards they confessed that merely believing what is true and believing the word is not faith, but that faith is loving truth from heavenly love, and willing and doing it from interior affection. Moreover, they were shown that their persuasion, which they called faith, was merely like the light of winter, in which light, because it has no heat in it, all things on the earth are bound up in frost, become torpid, and lie buried under the snow. As soon, therefore, as the rays of persuasive faith in them is touched by the rays of the light of heaven, it is not only extinguished, but is turned into a dense darkness, in which no one can see himself. And at the same time their interiors are so obscured that they can understand nothing at all, and at length become insane from falsities. Consequently, with such, all the truths that they have known from the Word and from the doctrine of the Church, and have called the truths of their faith, are taken away, and they imbibe in their place every falsity that is in accordance with the evil of their life. For they are all let down into their loves, and into the falsities agreeing with them. And they then hate and abhor, and therefore reject truths, because they are repugnant to the falsities of evil in which they are. From all my experience in what pertains to heaven and hell, I can bear witness that all those who from their doctrine have professed faith alone, and whose life has been evil, are in hell. I have seen many thousands of them cast down to hell. Respecting these, see the little work on the Last Judgment and the destruction of Babylon. Love in act, that is the life of man, is what endures. This follows as a conclusion from the things that have been shown from experience, and from the things said about deeds and works. Love in act is work and deed. It is to be known that all works and deeds pertain to moral and civil life, and therefore have regard to what is honest and right, and what is just and equitable. What is honest and right pertaining to moral life, and what is just and equitable to civil life. The love from which deeds are done is either heavenly or infernal. Works and deeds of moral and civil life, when they are done from heavenly love, are heavenly. For what is done from heavenly love is done from the Lord, and everything done from the Lord is good. But the deeds and works of moral and civil life, when done from infernal love, are infernal. For the things that are done from this love, which is the love of self and of the world, are done from man himself. And everything that is done from man himself is in itself evil. For man regarded in himself, that is, in regard to what is his proprium, is nothing but evil.